Earlier today, Pope Francis demanded that the church shift from its emphasis from doctrine to mercy in confronting the complexities of sex, marriage, and family life. Joining me now, Gina and Kirsten Haglund. And Kirsten, I'll start with you because I know you're down in D.C. at an event called United Cry, 30,000 pastors. And I got a feeling it feels like that's something very similar to perhaps what the Pope is trying to get at here.
Right. I mean, the Pope issued today an apostolic exhortation. So it doesn't have the level of authority as, say, an encyclical, but really shows the Pope's heart for the families of not only his city and the Vatican and Italy, but all around the world and within the Catholic Church. And that's what the pastors are going to be praying for tomorrow as well here in D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial. And I think it really shows a lot of people, conservatives like myself, don't agree with the Pope on a lot of his economic propositions. But we do agree with him on the fact that the basis of change and growth in this country comes from the family. So a lot of liberal Catholics were kind of upset that he didn't go further in redefining marriage, for example. But in a lot of ways, he did a lot of what he said he was going to do, justice and mercy for all people, for families especially, because that's the basis for change and growth.
You know, Gina, it says the Pope says conscience, not dogma, must guide Catholics in their family life. You know, I think the family life issue, no matter who you are, it's starting to fall apart in this country, and I believe religion, belief in God, has got to be the glue that brings it back together.
I agree with you on that, but I also think that we have to consider that it is a lot of the liberal policies, in particular the socialist policies in this country, that have caused the family to break apart in the first place, Charles. So while I do think compassion and mercy and all those things are incredibly important, this represents a somewhat of a shift, if you will, with this Pope in a focus on, his invitation to Bernie to come to the Vatican and his words against Donald Trump, injecting himself in some of this politics. I think he wants to be careful here, because if you really look at the things that really impact family, a lot of the more liberal social policies, a lot of socialism, a lot of communism is what really hurts families and what hurts people, and in the end isn't that merciful or that compassionate.
Yeah, and to that point, Kirsten, you know, the role of religion, the role of God and someone to sort of promote that. We see even in this country where even evangelicals aren't necessarily always on the same page necessarily. It feels like that's because we're in a desperate situation and people are grasping at straws perhaps, or trying to find different ways to get. But do you feel like maybe we're all moving toward wanting to have a solution?
Yes, I do think there is a real desire in this country. We've seen it throughout this election with the anger and the fear that people are feeling. There's a desire for some power higher than yourself. You know, everyone experiences that usually at some point in their life. And that's why religion is growing all across the world. Not just Catholicism and Christianity, but also Islam is growing. People are desirous of something bigger than themselves and more important. And of course, this country was founded on a Judeo-Christian values and a Judeo-Christian ethic. And we should respect that and we should engage with that because ultimately, at the end of the day, the higher power isn't man. It isn't a system or an institution. It is, as many Christians believe, it is God. And when you get those rights and that power from someone more than yourself, then that is the person that gives you those rights. That's what we believe. A government doesn't give those rights and they can't take them away.
All right. Guys, you were both fantastic in this segment. I wish we had more time. Have a great weekend and have a great time at the event tomorrow.
Thanks,
See you later,
Charles.
guys. There's a new